And here now to respond is John Ferriola. He's Nucor Corporation President and CEO. Now, Nucor is the largest manufacturer of steel in the United States. Mr. Ferriola was with the president today when he announced the tariffs. Mr. Ferriola, thank you for coming on. You've got a very powerful man in your corner. Nobody in the world is more powerful than the president of the United States, but there are a lot of people lining up against these tariffs, and they include a lot of people in the business community. The Business Roundtable just came out with a statement. I'll read it to you and get your response if I can. While global overcapacity and unfair trade practices should be addressed, Business Roundtable urges the administration not to use Section 232 to restrict steel and aluminum imports. We are very concerned that using this tool will hurt the overall U.S. economy, American companies, workers, and consumers. Your response?
Well, I think as I'm sitting here, I've listened to a lot of this gloom and doom today about how this action is going to drive the price of steel to a point where consumers will not be able to buy the products anymore, costing jobs and shutting down factories. So allow me to just put this a little bit into perspective, if I may,
Sure.
to give you a couple of simple facts. The average automobile, probably one of the largest industries that consume steel, the average automobile in the United States in January of 2018 was $36,000 to buy a new one, $36,000. About 1 ton of steel goes into the automobile, the average automobile. The average cost of a ton of steel going into the automobile is about $800. $800. So should the price of steel spike 20%, which I don't think you'll see anything close to that, but should it spike 20%, that's $160 on a $36,000 vehicle, or it will increase the price of that car by less than 1/2%.
Well, and we've done the calculation of how much steel is imported, how much a 25% tariff on that steel would cost. It comes to about $40 billion in an economy the size of ours. I agree, that's a small amount. But let me just ask specifically, and you point out that steel imports did increase significantly in 2017, up about 15%. That's correct. But it didn't seem to hurt you. 2017 was actually the best year that you have had, and you're the biggest steel company in America since the recession. Your revenue was up 25% despite a 15% increase in steel. Why is that?
Well, obviously, I cannot speak specifically to our numbers in terms of the metrics that make our total financial report up. They are not public. So I'll talk in generalities and talking about the industry. And clearly, one of the key things that indicates the sustainability of an industry is the profit percentage, the profits as a percentage of the sales revenue. I think most people, most economists.
But your profits were up as well, according to most indicators.
May I finish my point?
Yeah, please. But we don't have a lot of time. Your profits were up. Your revenues were up. I mean, that you did very well despite the increase in steel coming in.
1 second? May I speak for just 1 second?
Please.
You're right. We don't have much time. So let's talk about that ratio in the steel industry, which is about, on the average, 3%. In general manufacturing, that same number is 8%. So although we are doing better as an industry than we did the previous year, we are still incredibly underperforming relative to these other manufacturing industries that are crying the blues about this action. Okay? So the last point I would like to get in very quickly is comparing jobs lost in the downstream businesses. Unfortunately, the world is such that if our trade laws are allowed to be violated in steel today, they will be violated in those downstream businesses in the future. A case in point is what's happening today with the washing machines. Okay? That's a downstream business that our trade laws were violated on. There was a trade case filed, successfully prosecuted, clearly pointing out that countries are moving beyond just steel. So if the downstream companies do not support strong trade laws rigorously enforced today on steel, they'll be facing the same situation we're in 5, 10, 15 years.
Mr. Ferriola, very quickly, did the president make any guarantees to you that these tariffs would go through? Did he indicate to you that it was a done deal, or is there any chance for some kind of tweaking of what he announced today?
Well, you heard his statement on TV in front of the press, the same as I did. He said that he'll be taking action next week. He said that there would be a tariff of 25% on steel and 10%.
Right, we heard that, but he made no other assurances to you or other people at the meeting.
No. And
okay.
And then someone already made the point, and it's accurate. The devil is in the details, and when we get more of the details, we'll better understand how this will impact the economy and our downstream customers.
John Ferriola, thank you very much for coming in, John. Appreciate it.